Your home should support your life, not drain it. I'm Katie Trudeau, and this is the Whole Home Living Podcast. Here, we talk about simple, plant-forward eating, realistic rhythms, and small systems that help your home work with you, not against you. No perfection, no pressure, just practical shifts that make everyday life feel lighter, calmer, and more nourishing. Let's get into today's episode. If you've ever thought to yourself, I know what I should be doing, I'm just not actually doing it, then this episode is for you. Because most of the time, it's not that we don't know what to do. It's not even that we don't care or aren't motivated. It's usually that we just don't have a clear place to start, and everything starts to feel a little too big or a little too overwhelming. Welcome back to the Whole Home Living Podcast, where we're building rhythms, routines, and a home that actually supports your life instead of draining it. And I want to start off this episode by saying thank you for your patience with me. It's been a few weeks since our last episode, and real life has been real lately. But honestly, this episode is coming out of that. Because when life feels heavy or messy or unpredictable, you don't need a perfect plan or even a full reset. You just need something simple enough that you can still follow through even on a hard day. So let's talk about the gap and where we're at today. So we've spent the last few episodes talking about things like traffic light eating, simplifying food decisions, and just building a healthier foundation in general. But there's a missing step that I think a lot of people feel. It happens when we understand everything that we need to do, but we still don't do anything with it. And that's where people get stuck. Either we try to change everything all at once, or we set super vague goals like, I just want to eat better. Or we tell ourselves that we'll start when things calm down a little bit. The truth is that life doesn't ever really calm down. There's always something. And so that's where SMART goals come in. This is where I want to introduce SMART goals to you, but in a way that actually fits into your real life, not in some rigid or corporate way. Which, fun fact, SMART goals were created for business management. They were created in 1981 as a way to write effective management goals. But today, we use this SMART goal framework to create lots of measurable goals in and out of the workplace. So what is a SMART goal? SMART goal stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Sometimes you might see that as time-based. Either way, same thing. But the way that I think about it for whole home living is this. Your goal should feel doable even on your hardest day. Not on your best day when everything is going right. Your goals should still feel doable on your hardest day. Your goals should fit into your current life, not some ideal version of your life that doesn't exist. So let's talk about some real life examples. I want to show you a few examples of what this actually looks like. Now, instead of saying, I'm going to eat healthier, you might say, I'm going to add 1 green light food to my breakfast 4 days this week. Okay, that's one example. Second example, instead of saying, I need to drink more water, you might decide, I'm going to drink 1 full glass of water before I have my coffee in the morning. All right. Third example, instead of saying, I need to work out more, you could say something like, I'm going to walk for 10 minutes after dinner 3 nights this week. What do those 3 things have in common? They are all very clear, they are all doable, and it gives you somewhere to actually start. And I want to pause here for a second because this part really matters to me. If you've been following along, you know it's been a very difficult few weeks for our family. We lost our dog, and then one of our sons ended up needing an appendix surgery. Just a lot, just life. That's what was happening for us, but you never know what other people are going through. Everyone has their own crosses to carry. And this is what I'm talking about, because real life doesn't pause so you can get everything together and then start doing things the right way. Real life is happening, and real life is what you're working inside of. You're not working inside a perfect vacuum. You're working inside of real life, and real life is very messy. And there were days, in this past month for our family where I wasn't thinking about a full routine. I wasn't thinking about doing everything perfectly. It was more like, what is one small thing I can still do today that helps me feel a little bit better or a little grounded? And you know what? Some of those things was just, I'm going to walk after a meal. Just going to walk. And sometimes when the weather was not so great, sometimes I was just walking around the house a little bit. And I want to say this out loud because I think a lot of us need to hear it. You have to give yourself permission to live real life. Like I said, life is messy. Things happen. It's emotional. It's unpredictable. I was just telling my husband that, this past month, we've had a lot of conflicting emotions. We've been sad about this thing and then happy about that thing. And it's just a lot. And I am doing this right alongside you. No one's perfect. Going on a health journey is not all or nothing. It's just focusing on the next small step that you can take. And that is also why SMART goals actually work, because they can bend with your life instead of falling apart the second things get hard. Think back to one of those example goals I just mentioned. What is one green light food you can add to breakfast? Add a banana to your cereal. That doesn't take too much more effort to prepare that meal than any other breakfast. Slicing a banana. So that is simple. It works with the messy life. So this is also where SMART goals can connect really naturally to the HEART method. Again, you don't have to overhaul everything all at once. Those things rarely work. You can just pick one area. For example, maybe you want to improve your sleep under the H, the holistic living. Maybe you want to add more nutritionally dense foods to your diet and just focus on the E and empowered nutrition. Or maybe you feel like your nutrition's good and you want to add more movement. So you're focusing on the A in the HEART method. And one of my favorites is T, transform your home. Because instead of always having to rely on willpower, you can set your environment up to support you. So if your goal is something like eat a better breakfast, you're not just hoping that you make a good choice in the morning. You're putting the oats out at night. You're setting out the jars on the counter. You're making things easier before your day even starts. And now I want to talk about the real secret, because I think the biggest shift here is realizing that the goal isn't to do more. The goal is to make your next step so clear and so simple that you don't have to overthink it. Because when something feels unclear, we avoid it. It is murky, it is gray. The gray area is scary. It's hard to live in the gray. But when things feel obvious and manageable, it is so much easier to follow through. So if you're taking anything from this episode, let it be this. Just ask yourself, what is one thing that would make my day feel a little bit better right now? Okay. Now, I want you to take that and turn that into a specific goal. Not 5 things, not a full reset, just one place to begin. If today's episode was helpful, take a moment to share it with someone who could use a little more ease around food and home. You can also leave a review. It helps more families find whole home living. For simple resources, practical tools, and upcoming workshops, visit wholehomeliving365.com. And remember, eating well doesn't require perfection. It just needs a system that works with your life. I'm Katie Trudeau. See you next time.